Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the brand newest edition of On the Groove Line Live. I am your host, Chris Stevens. Hopefully, you wonderful people are doing well out there. You should be. It's the weekend. It's Friday. A lot of you OGs are already retired, so y'all ain't got to worry about this type of thing. But the rest of us, we are just ready to put down our work, lay our work burdens down, and get ready for the weekend. Me, my work burdens are just beginning. I start a new job next Monday, so I got to go in and get my hours from my boss, who I know reasonably well. So, we'll talk about that. But I don't know if this is going to be live the same time next Friday, but I'm still planning to do a Friday live show. It may just be later in the day. But for now, we're here at 12 o'clock on Fridays, and we talk about, some old school music stuff. We talk about some music news of the day and different things of that nature. So if you are watching us on YouTube, I highly recommend and implore you actually to send a super chat. Now, what a super chat is a way that you can donate to keep this operation going. On the Groove Line is a podcast. I have a website, onthegrooveline.com, where I publish music news and reviews, the Facebook page, all of that stuff. You know, working for free ain't bad since this is my passion, but a little kickback here and there won't hurt. So if you want to drop a super chat, you can. If you're following us on Facebook, you can leave a star. Every star is worth a cent. So if you guys want to leave 100 cents so I can get $1 out of this, that's fine. But yes, so today we're going to talk about what a diamond record entails, especially in this new era of streaming, because, well, Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion made a little bit of history this past week. You guys may remember the very controversial song WAP, WAP, or Wet A Meow from the summer of 2020. That song caused so much consternation and conflict amongst different people from different walks of life, different, generations, different genders, and all of that stuff. But one thing that can't be denied is that WAP sold big. And earlier this week, I think it was Monday, as a matter of fact, WAP crossed the diamond barrier as certified by the RIAA, which is the recording RIAA. I can't remember RIAA's acronym off the rip, but yeah, we all music people all know the RIAA. But yeah, the RIAA certified WAP as diamond. Now, what diamond is 10 million sales, and I thought it was interesting because I wanted to do the research before I got on here to talk about it. So I was able to find some things and get the lowdown on what a diamond record is. So this is what a diamond record, the top dot, which you guys, the top bullet point that you guys will see is what it used to be back in the day. A diamond record, as certified by the RIAA, is 10 million in physical sales. Now, that includes CD, vinyl, and cassette. Now, they aren't making vinyl, CDs, and cassettes anymore. They're just not. Are they still making CDs? I'm not sure, but yes. So before the advent of streaming and different things, people forget. Let me come off a side screen. Let me come off the screen. Let me come on the screen for this. People forget back in the day, and it used to be better that way. They used to go on the record stores and go buy stuff. Like you used to be able to go to your local Sam Goody, Radio Shack, did I say? I said Best Buy, Radio Shack, Circuit City, a couple of other places. I mean, we had local tape stores up and down Market Street Mall in Wilmington, Delaware. Like, I am just so hurt every time I drive down Market Street, and the stores that I used to go buy records in, the stores that I used to buy speakers and stuff in, they're no longer there. Everything on, I'll talk about, gentrification is probably something for a different podcast, but yeah, you used to be able to go into the stores and look for the music that you wanted, and it just was more fun that way, because you'd find some things by accident. Even if you were taken by the cover art, or you got a recommendation from the person behind the counter, you'd buy some stuff. You'd absolutely would come home with a new tape or a new CD, and you would just listen, you would just vibe. See, I wasn't old enough to buy vinyl. I'm still thinking about, should I go get vinyl? But yes. So coming back to this. But yes, back in the day, we used to go into the stores and actually buy music. It was a good time. So yes, here is what you need to know about what a diamond certification is. 10 million in physical sales. But as of February 1st, 2016, hard to believe that it's been 10 years now, This is what a diamond record is in the digital streaming era. So to give you guys the countdown, one permanent digital or physical sale, that's 1 unit. So people were still buying records, but now they're downloading them. 10 tracks downloaded from that album. So you have to have at least 10 tracks on the album, and people have to download all 10. That counts as a unit. And 1,500 on demand video and audio streams of a song equals 1 unit. So a diamond record in 21st century parlance is not the same as it once was, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. So that actually makes what Michael Jackson was able to do all the more impressive with Thriller. Because Thriller went diamond in an era where there was no streaming. People actually went to the stores and bought Thriller en masse. So I think the question is, and I'll leave this up to anybody in the chat or anybody that catches this on a rebound for you to answer, is it more impressive to have a diamond record back in the day, or is it more impressive to have a diamond record now? Because I looked at that 1,500 on demand stream, and I was just like, wow. So it's not like, so 1,500 streams of a song counts as 1 unit. So let me get my calculator out. So 1,500. I'm doing this while we're on the air because it's easier that way. So 1,500 streams is 1 unit. So 10 million. So somebody would have to stream a song 15 billion times. 15 billion times for it to go diamond. Just, diamond. Who really has a diamond record these days? That tells you 15 billion streams of a song is crazy. And WAP absolutely drove people crazy because people were either curious about it, people adopted it as an anthem, and just listening to how people responded to that song during the pandemic, because people forget, we were still pretty much on lockdown when this song came out on August 6, 2020. Those of you who remember the early days of the COVID pandemic when all we could do was sit home and watch people on live stream do things like this. So, and shouts out to D Nice, man. D Nice, that man, when we look back on this era of everybody doing live streams, verses, and all of that, D Nice is going to be the one that gets the bulk of the credit. The D Nice deserves all the credit, to be completely honest with you. Because when D Nice started doing his Sunday sessions, man, we were locked in. And then everybody started following after that. And it was like, wow, you can stream on Instagram and do all of this stuff. And yeah, so so certain DJs, certain artists, that's how we got the verses and all of that stuff. So D Nice deserves a ton of credit for this, virtual party era that we find ourselves in now. And just going back to WAP, 15 billion streams of that song is absolutely nutty. And I say that in a complimentary way. Because when you look at how rap music has evolved, because the first rap song I remember absolutely being head over heels for was Walk This Way by Run DMC and Aerosmith. I was 4 or 5 years old because my older sister bought me the Raising Hell cassette tape for my 5th birthday. My mother was not pleased because of the album title. And I think, but just being able to listen to that, and, I think Walk This Way was pretty much the only thing I listened to as a 5-year-old. But as I got older, going back to that cassette, Peter Piper became my favorite Run DMC song. And I think it's still my favorite Run DMC song to this day, either that or Rock Box. But rap has evolved in such a way in those 40 years, because Raising Hell came out in 1986. Remember, I was 4 going on 5. And here we are in 2026, and we have these different genres of rap. You have drill, you have, female rap. Or what what some people pejoratively would call P-word rap, and different things of that nature. And Megan and Cardi saw a lane that people hadn't quite officially tapped into yet. Granted, to say that women in rap weren't talking about sex would just be ridiculous, because Lil' Kim was doing it ahead of time. Missy Elliott was too. I always find it interesting that people try to say, oh, more female rappers should be like Missy Elliott and stop talking about their vaginas. Did y'all listen to Sock It To Me at all? Did y'all listen to anything? Missy, did you listen to 1 Minute Man? Did you listen to Work It? Missy Elliott was talking about sex 20, 25, 30 years ago. So people trying to use Missy as like this thing to put down other female rappers is ridiculous. Same for Rhapsody. I mean, Rhapsody is a hell of a rapper, but Rhapsody talks about her sex life too. Y'all just ain't listening close enough. So I think, just listening to what Cardi and Megan were able to do with WAP, give women a voice and give them a chance to be able to say, all right, man, if you want this, if you want this in the correct form, because WAP stands for wet a meow, and if you're trying to get a woman excited, you got to do certain things to get her excited. And Cardi and Megan pretty much laid down how you need to do it on WAP, which is fine. But people got upset about that because, like, oh wow, what if the kids hear it? Oh wow, kids shouldn't be exposed to this stuff. That's where your job as a parent is supposed to be, when you do your job. My mom refused, absolutely refused, gangster rap in her house when I was a teenager, when I was a young teenager. When I was like 12 or 13, I snuck the Murder Was the Case soundtrack in my house. Woo! That first time she heard What Would You Do by the Dog Pound, boy, that CD was gone. So, my mom had that thing had it under lock and key. And that's where your job is as a parent. If you don't want to expose your kids to that stuff, don't expose them to it. It's that simple. But, I think people just feel like, they can censor everything that makes them feel uncomfortable. And that's unfair to the people who actually do want to listen to it. So that's my take on, WAP as a whole. But as far as the whole Diamond thing goes, it's hard to sell records because as I had Marcus Thompson from Timex Social Club. Oh my God, I can't wait. Later in the show, I'm going to share something with you guys that Marcus was kind enough to send me. And this is a great little piece of history that he sent me. So, when I talked to Marcus Thompson from Timex Social Club last week, he said putting out a single now is like a grain of sand on a beach. Why is your grain of sand any better than anybody else's? And I mean, that's the truth, because how many grains of sand are on a beach when you think about it? There are tons of, beaches out there, with sand on it. And the same goes for the music industry. People are putting out records daily. I mean, I could put out a record if I wanted to. I could literally use this microphone, find a beat, rap over it, sing over it, and put it out somewhere on YouTube or, SoundCloud or Bandcamp. Not saying anybody would listen to it, but, these records actually, people actually, put out music from the comfort of their own home. And I get that can be sort of a harrowing thing for OGs who used to have to, like Marcus said last week, used to have to book studio time and be dead serious about it. I mean, listen, convenience has made a lot of people lazy, and that includes musicians. I think convenience has made us all lazy, regardless of what we do. This is coming from a dude who literally worked from home for the last 4.5 years. Now I have to go back into an in-person job because my work from home gig is sort of on the rocks at this particular point in time. But just the music industry as a whole has changed so much that the benchmarks for what makes a good song or an everlasting song or a top selling song, they were going to change too. So I'm going to play this little clip from Raphael Sadiq during his appearance on The Hollywood Reporter, and I want you guys to listen to this, and then we'll come back.
Stayed around longer than everybody had a number one. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'd rather have the song that stays around longer than the number in the magazine. The song stayed around longer than everybody had a number one. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'd rather have the song that stays around longer than the number in the magazine. Mm-hmm. And because the magazine goes and the song stays. So for me, it was always like, when I'm in the studio and you write a song, the reward is always in the beginning, like listening back before everybody else gets a chance to hear it. And it just sort of happened. This guy walked up to me one day. He said, I think I just beat you on Billboard. I'm number one, you're number two. And I was like, man, congratulations, man, But now I don't hear that song anymore that he wrote. I still hear my song, so.
That's the best.
So yeah, I mean, that's the point. I think that's the point of music, to be honest with you. And, Raphael Sadiq laying it down like that, I think that's something that a lot of young musicians, even old musicians, to be quite honest with you, could learn from. Because, you look at what the music industry is in 2026. Again, anybody can make a record. I could put a song out in the next 45 minutes if I chose to. If I stopped this podcast, started messing around on my MIDI keyboard, I probably could put a beat together and then I could rap over it. I don't want to have a job. I don't want to have a job. But I got to have a job. I mean, I could do something like that. And, it may not sell, but it's out there. And that's the type of stuff, you kind of banking on your product finding the right audience. That's with anything you do in this life. As someone who has written books, 13 in fact, that you hope that your creative work finds somebody who likes stories about black people falling in love and different things of that nature, and you just live with that. But musicians, everybody likes a different sound. Like, there's nobody who likes the exact same music. I mean, there are some people who are Michael Jackson fans over Prince fans. There are Prince fans who are over Michael Jackson fans. There's Stevie Wonder fans over Prince fans over Michael Jackson fans. That type of thing. I mean, everybody listens to something different. Not every black person listens to hip hop. Not every white person listens to rock and roll. Not every Latino person listens to reggaeton, calypso, or salsa, or any of that other stuff. People listen to different sounds. That's what makes music so appealing, is that if your stuff is decent enough, you can find an audience. Like, there are young people out there now who are rediscovering the recipes. There's a group called The Paradox. They're from Atlanta, Georgia. I did an episode on The Paradox earlier. There are a bunch of young black kids from Atlanta making that Blink 182, Sixpence None the Richer type of music, that punk rock, stuff that is real poppy. And they are doing well with it. There is a young lady called Midnight Jet. She's got a song out called Till the Morning. It sounds like something you would hear on The Quiet Storm from like 1988 to about 1991, 92-ish. I have not been able to stop listening to that song since I first heard it. I love that song. I would love to talk to Midnight Jet at some point. So yes, either for an interview for the blog or this podcast. But there's different musicians, there's different sounds for different people. And I think that's probably why the music industry is changed so much, is that not everybody has to be pigeonholed into the same thing, because people aren't being told by record labels, oh, you need to have a certain sound that sounds like this. You need to have a certain sound that sounds like that. You need to adjust your vocals so we can market you as the next so-and-so. People can literally do stuff from their homes and make their own sound and find something of an audience. It may not be a multi-platinum or diamond audience, but you can still find an audience. And I think that's the wonderful thing about it. I mean, granted, not everybody needs to put out a record. I joked several times on this podcast about putting out a song. Would I ever do it? Hell no. I can't sing. I can't rap. I'm going to learn to play an instrument at some point. Y'all hold me to this. I am going to learn piano or keys at some point. Guaranteed. Y'all need to come, when y'all see me on the Groove Line posting stuff, say, Chris, did you start keyboard lessons yet? Did you start piano lessons yet? Remind me, because that's something that I absolutely want to do before I check out on Earth. And I don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon. But yeah, the beautiful thing about the music industry now is that you can put out music. Granted, you probably won't sell 10 million. You won't sell 1 million. You may have trouble selling 10,000. But since you're doing it from the comfort of your home, and you don't have to be beholden to a record label or, production company or anything like that, you take home all the money. So it ain't that bad. It ain't that bad. I mean, granted, like I said, not everybody needs to put out music. But the people who put out music who may not be heard by larger labels, may not get on the radio, may not have videos that are on BET or MTV. Do we even have videos on BET or MTV anymore? No, we don't. So it really doesn't matter. So, I mean, you can make music and find an audience. And that's a wonderful thing. I mean, but at the same time, I just wish that more people would be mindful of the artists that they patronize, because you can complain all you want about what goes on the radio, what doesn't go on the radio, what doesn't, get the proper attention. But you as the consumer, you can control that. You can still control that. And that's what I think a lot of people forget about the world today, is that this capitalistic society doesn't move unless people are spending money. And if people don't want to spend money on stuff, then people got to make changes to make people spend money on stuff, and that includes music. So that's why I really don't have a problem with people being able to release music at their leisure without being on a record label or different things like that. I do wish that they would be more old school minded, because I remember, having, you know, the Troutman brothers on here. Mike Cooper of Confunction. He was still talking 50 something years later about backing up Rufus Thomas at Watt Sax when Confunction was Project Soul. We had Kurt Harmon when he from Pieces of a Dream mentioning that he and his original band members were all grade school, middle school students, and they had to get rides from their parents to these talent shows. That's the type of grind that you need to have if you're going to make it in the music world or any sort of industry. You're going to have to hustle. So I wish a lot of these younger artists, granted they can make the music from their house, but they still got to do shows. And you don't need to start off. I mean, I think everybody has this misnomer that a stadium tour is your birthright as a musician. It is not. You need to start working small rooms. You need to go to cafes. You need to go to amphitheaters. And then you can start, doing like little smaller stadiums, like college homecomings. Oh my God. Why have younger artists forsaken the college homecoming circuit, especially at HBCUs? Because HBCU kids have always been like, the tester for music. Because quick story, I'll never forget, homecoming in Delaware State, 2001. Beanie Siegel and Jada Kiss were in the middle of a heated, and I mean heated, beef. And Beanie Siegel was Beans the headliner? I think either Foxy or Ludacris was the head, because we had the homecoming concert, Delaware State 2001. Oh my God. We had Backyard Band. Shouts out to Big G. We had Jaheim. We had Beanie Siegel, and Beans brought Bleak out as a special guest. This is when Is That Your Chick was really hot. We had Foxy Brown and we had Ludacris. Luda was the headliner. That's my mistake. So yeah. But Beans, he did his stuff, and he had Bleak come out and do his verse, Is That Your Chick? And then he told the DJ to kill the music. And Beans did this freestyle that, if you were Brown back then, I'm not going to repeat it because it's very graphic, but if you know, you know. And Delaware State went nuts, because Delaware State, where a bunch of Philly people go to Delaware State anyway. And those Philly dudes and dudettes tore Memorial Hall up when he started talking about, Jada Kiss is a B without the pocketbook and the wig. How he talk all that Pac stuff when he rolled with Big. Like, it was being in Memorial Hall that night. It was a time, man. But yeah, I mean, for some strange reason, these younger artists, these newer artists, have forsaken HBCU homecoming concerts, and I'll never understand why. Because that is where you make your name. You can ask the Troutman brothers. You can ask, Project. You can ask Confunction. You can ask the SOS band, the Ohio Players. You can ask solo artists like, Lilo Thomas, Stephanie Mills, Melissa Morgan, all these different people, man. Come back to HBCU homecomings, bro. This is my plea to the new artists of today. Bring your butts to HBCUs. You will find a loyal and excited audience that will never stop listening to your stuff. Guaranteed. But yes. So that was my pretty much, wanted to talk about what makes a diamond record, what makes a timeless record, and how the music industry has changed over the years. But I did want to talk about a couple other things before I get up out of here. One of those things is that this song is 30 years old this summer. How many of y'all remember where y'all were when Tell Me by Dru Hill dropped? Man, that was probably one of the more interesting summers ever. Summer of 96 started a chain of music reaction that we'll talk about, as the year winds down, that changed everything. And hearing Dru Hill for the first time, because a lot of us thought Dru Hill was a single act, but I mean like a solo artist. But no, it was Cisco, Nokia, Woody, and Jazz. And hearing that first little, tell me what you want. I mean, the Dru Hill hop and all of that. People forget that before that video came out, that song was dominating urban radio for about, 3 months straight? Because it came out late July. And by October, November, everybody was singing Tell Me by Dru Hill. And I mean everybody. I went to an all black high school, so we were always in the know in terms of the music. And "Tell Me" by Drew Hill was one of those songs from my sophomore year that I will never forget. There are two songs. If you had to make me pick a song that reminds me, two songs that remind me of 10th grade off the rip. Well, actually three. I'll go three. There's "Hypnotized" by Biggie, "Tell Me" by Drew Hill, and "My Boo" by the Ghost Town DJs. I know y'all remember "My Boo." You should know that I've got you on my mind, a secret admirer. I've been watching you at night. I think of you. Man, whew. That was a summer, boy. That was a summer. That was summer '96. I was 14 years old and I had two jobs. I worked at a rec center during the day, and in the afternoons, I was a street sweeper. I was making money at 14, 15 years old, man. I was saving for a car. Never got the car that I wanted, but I was saving for a car. But yeah, summer '96, listening to "Tell Me" by Drew Hill, that just, took me way back. And when I saw that that song was 30 years old, it just reminded me that, wow, time really waits for no one. And just, everybody's still doing the Drew Hill hop to this very day. I'm doing it in my seat because I don't want to get up and trip and knock myself out and end this podcast ahead of time. But guess what else is having an anniversary? This album turns 25 years old today. Usher, 8701. Now, this is when Usher became Usher. And that's not to say that "My Way" wasn't a great album, because, again, "My Way" came out the beginning of my junior year of high school, because "You Make Me Wanna" came out in the summer of '97. And then "My Way," the album came out. And then, of course, '97, '98, the big record from Usher that year was "Nice and Slow." Can't believe "Nice and Slow" turns 30 next year. Unbelievable. But 8701 is where Usher became sort of like a heir apparent to Michael Jackson, because that's what people were kind of, pushing him as. And he even did Michael Jackson's 30th anniversary special. Everybody remembers that, when Chris Tucker tried to imitate Michael, and Mike fell out laughing and told Chris he was kicking with the wrong leg. Oh man, I miss Michael Jackson. Don't we miss Michael Jackson? But yeah, 8701 is when Usher became the megastar we know him as today. Because we all remember where we were when "You Remind Me" dropped. But how many of y'all remember "You Remind Me" as a remix? Yeah, Usher did a "You Remind Me" remix with Blue Cantrell and Method Man and Trackmasters Tone and Poke. They did they sampled "The Message" by Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five for the "You Remind Me" remix. And Meth says something on his second verse that absolutely just blew my mind then. It blows my mind now. "It's just something about you that got me not knowing whether I want to kiss you or slap this out you." And I'm like, wow, bro, you that mad? Calm down. It's not that serious. Again, this was 2001. We take DV and, violence against women more seriously. We still don't take it seriously enough, but we take it more seriously than we did 25 years ago. But yeah, Usher became a superstar with 8701. My favorite song off of that album is still "Can You Help Me." Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis were still throwing strikes with their ballads. And "Can You Help Me" is still probably one of my favorite Usher songs of all time. It's got to be in my Usher top 5 and top 10. But 87, I keep saying 8701 for some reason, but 8701, there's "You Don't Have to Call." The "You Don't Have to Call" remix with Ludacris. Oh my God. The Neptunes really blessed Usher with that "You Don't Have to Call" beat, and then Ludacris jumped on. "Man, I'm a player. Girl, you don't have to call. 6 G's in my socks, so I have to ball." Like, Ludacris jumped on that beat and absolutely did damage. Ludacris is probably one of the best flowers on Neptune beats ever. It's between Luda, Hove, and Snoop. Well, yeah, of course, Pusha T and Malice. But if you had to make me pick somebody outside of the Virginia circle, because we know Push and Malice were going to step on Neptune's beats because all they did was ever work together. They all worked together when they were kids. But you had to make me pick somebody outside of the Star Trek camp. The top 3 flowers on Neptune's beats are Hove, Luda, and Snoop. That's it. That's the list. Anybody else, give or take. I can take or leave. But yes, 8701 by Usher is 25 years old now. That is an incredible milestone. Like, I wish we did more things where people talked about, the music journalism industry is fading fast, but we need to find a way to resurrect it. I think that's what I'm trying to do here with On the Groove Line, is just give people a space to talk about music and discuss and, share my thoughts as well. But 8701 just made Usher huge. Like he was destined for stardom after that. And can't believe that album is 25 years old now. Unbelievable. But yes, that's going to do it for this version of On the Groove Line Live. I greatly appreciate y'all for tuning in. Don't forget, if you catch any of my shows live, because I'm going to start, scheduling a lot of shows, because now that I have a day job again, I have to be mindful of how I put my shows out, and that includes premieres. So if you check out the premieres on YouTube, be sure to send a super chat. It can be $1, it can be $5, it can be $10. If you have $20 million to spare, like Mackenzie Scott, I'll take that too. And just don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Be sure to like the Facebook page and follow the Facebook page and all of that good stuff. And I'll see you guys around. Like I said, once I get my work schedule next week, I'll let you know when our Friday shows are going to run again. And we'll have fun as we always do. So thank you guys for riding with me on the Groove Line. And until the next time we ride, may you find the groove, or may the groove find you. We gone.